I'm Haley. Welcome to the whole podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hey, everyone. Just wanted to say before we get started, we had such a great conversation that we are going to break it into a part 1 and part 2. So feel free to join us for our part 2 next week. Thanks.
Getting Social is where the fun shows up once a month and community takes center stage. Getting Social is a peer support group at the Whole Person, meeting the first Friday of every month from 1 to 3 p.m. in the community room. This group is designed for all people with disabilities, PCAs, family, friends, and service providers. This is your opportunity to talk, laugh, and actually connect. Every month has a new, exciting, and educational theme, from arts and crafts to meeting Casey's biggest advocates for disabilities. Can't make it in person? You can join the Getting Social peer support group virtually. Need a ride? Transportation may be available within 5 miles with advance notice. Just a place where you can show up and be part of something real. To learn more about our next Getting Social, visit thewholeperson.org. We hope to see you there. But for now, enjoy the rest of the show.
Hi, everyone. My name is Haley Korf, and I am your vision impaired host. Today, we have a very excellent author and a very unique individual who has different perspectives about the disability community. We have Rebekah Taussig with us. Did I pronounce that last name right?
You did.
Yes. Okay. So I am really excited that you're here because you have wrote a wonderful book, which I have read already. Took me
Yay.
about a week. And I wanted to discuss a little bit about what got you interested in wanting to write a book, and how that all works. So, when you want to talk about this, we can, but we also have some excellent questions here. So, for everyone watching, whenever you get a chance, though, please like, share, and subscribe. And we are so excited that you are joining us. So, we want to make sure this gets out into the community. So,
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I've really been looking forward to this. I think this is going to be a juicy chat.
I know. I'm so excited. We already had like a 30-minute juicy chat and I loved it. So, yeah, take it away. Tell us what got you interested in the book.
Okay. Yes. I mean, I think that it was a slow evolution. Um, I have been writing for most of my life in some capacity. I mean, I have like shelves of angsty journals, and I really wrote song lyrics and poems. And in college, I my undergrad was in creative writing, so I was writing like strange little slipstream fiction. But I was never really writing directly about disability, and which is maybe a little interesting because I have been disabled most of my life. I have used a wheelchair since I was 6.
Okay.
And so I was writing a lot, writing as a way of understanding the world, of connecting to the world. And then when I was in graduate school, in my late 20s, I found disability studies for the first time. And so it was sort of this body of literature, scholarship, people thinking about what it means to have a body, looking at the history of disability as a category of person that we've sort of organized the world around in some ways, or I should say, like organized the world around non-disabled bodies, and then sort of created this category of disability. And looking at learning about like disability rights history for the first time in my whole life. I'm 27 at this point. I've been in school forever, and this is like the first time I'm sort of learning all of this transformational um, information, history, way of thinking. And so um, it was definitely like stars aligning, all like puzzle pieces finding each other sort of time in my life. So I started writing about disability for the first time in my late 20s. And oh, gosh, it was such a, my brain was so alive, animated, like synapses firing in every direction, because it was suddenly I had like this lens through which I was understanding my whole life a little bit differently, understanding like I was the kid who grew up like on the edges of playgrounds and birthday parties and gym classes and all of that. And so, and I took on a lot of shame in that experience. And so, like, rethinking what was happening there and why, and learning the word ableism for the first time, learning about internalized ableism. So I was sort of exploding with new ways of thinking and stories, and I already was sort of a writer in a lot of capacities, and so those two worlds merged. And I initially was just sending out essays to like little literary magazines, which is like, you spend months writing an essay, and then you wait months to hear if someone wants it. And my roommate at the time was like, you should just be posting on Instagram. It was 2015, so it was like early
Yes.
days, a
Yes.
different world. And so I just started writing like the character cap is 2,200 characters. And
Mhm.
so I had this very hard edge of like, I've got this much space to tell a tiny story. And slowly over time, I started calling them mini memoirs. And I just sort of started flinging those out into the world.
Yeah.
These tiny little stories that were life from my perspective in this body, in this world. And so, I mean, it was stuff like, what was I writing about in the early days? I wrote about like what it felt like at the time. I still had enough mobility where I could like stand and walk a few feet if I was holding onto my car to fill my tank up with gas.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
would write about what it felt like to be stared at while I was like dragging my legs across to fill up my gas. Or I wrote like I wrote like a love letter to my scrawny paralyzed legs. Like I was doing kind of stuff like
I
that.
love that.
Yeah, it was really fun. And part of what was so exciting about it is initially I'm like, I'm gonna just have this container for my writing and this practice of taking like beautiful pictures that include disability, which is something I didn't have a lot growing up.
Mhm.
Um, like the ordinary life of a disability being included in that, the world of friendship and daily living and brunches and, dating and whatever the thing
Yes.
is, ordinary
Yes.
life. And as I did that, I like found all of these people, kind of doing their own storytelling of disability in one way or the other. And some of them had disabilities like mine, and a lot of them didn't. And so I was sort of dropped into this world of friendship, with uh, people with all different kinds of disabilities, which is something I did not have
Mhm.
ever in my life. I was like the only kid like me,
Yeah.
everywhere I went. And so that all of that was so exciting to me. And then I started to notice that the 2,200 character limit was like, ugh, getting harder and harder. And I wanted to tell longer stories, and I wanted my ideas to be able to develop over a greater space. And it was right around that time that I connected with my literary agent, who reached out to me and just asked, would you think about writing a book? Um, and I had already been working on a larger manuscript as part of my PhD work. So I was like, yes, yes, yes.
Mhm.
And so that was sort of the evolution of it. By the time my literary agent reached out to me, I think I had been writing online for maybe almost 3 years.
Okay.
So I had sort of a body of stories, and I went through and I said, what are the themes? What are the patterns? What's really coming up a lot?
Mhm.
And those sort of became the framework of the chapters for
Yeah.
the book. There was one chapter that was not my idea. The chapter on feminism and womanhood and disability was it didn't come from me, and it was very challenging for me to write, but like so glad that I did. And that yeah, that was sort of the baby steps to this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love how that all comes together in
Yeah.
such a weird way. You never quite know how everything is going to come together.
Yes.
And it's just amazing that you ran into so many good people
Mm.
who are sharing similar stories, but also helps you with, I'm assuming, writing and influencing some of what you wrote as well.
Oh, absolutely. Like it like shaping my thinking.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. I mean, I think and that's interesting because I think that has continued to evolve even after I wrote the book.
Hmm.
We were talking before we hit record on this, like how in some ways this book feels so distant from me because I was writing it 2018, 2019. It came out in 2020. The world has changed so much.
Yes.
So much has changed. And I think part of it is continuing to foster relationships with humans
Yes.
and hearing more stories and more perspectives. Has I feel like I'm constantly having the edges of my mind expanded by listening and hearing other people's life experiences of disability too.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it it also kind of humbles you in a way because you're like, oh, I've been dealing with this since I was like 17. I know everything. And I'm like, oh wait, I do not. I do not know
Yeah.
everything. And so having those conversations, it's like a different perspective, different lens, if you
Yeah.
will. And it's interesting what comes up in these conversations.
Yeah, and I think I'm always interested in the things that overlap where it's like,
Hmm.
I wouldn't have known that, we would have this specific thing in common, even
Yeah.
though our disabilities are quite different. And also the things that can be like entirely different, even with someone who has a disability kind of similar to mine.
Yeah.
Both of those things, the ways that we're the same and the ways that we're different, feel really important and interesting and worth looking at. So, yes.
Yeah. No, I totally agree because in the blind community, you'll see people at different levels of accepting their disability, which I'm sure is true for your
Hmm.
disability world. And it's interesting when you really connect with somebody, you're like, oh, you do this way different than I do, but the end result is the same and it's okay.
Yeah. Well, and also that piece of like how you feel about it.
Yes.
I think, and what's interesting, I think when I was online more, it felt like I was able to create sort of this like echo chamber for myself in a little bit of a way where it's like we all feel the same about this.
Yes.
And then I think after the book came out, I've had the chance to like travel so much more and meet people in person so much more. Um, and I have found that to be expanded and listening to the different ways that people feel about things or like what I don't know, like yeah, I mean, there's just so many, like the experience of disability is so personal.
Yes.
It's so deeply personal, and it's also so sprawling. It affects so many people in so many ways, and so the combination of that just makes for like this endless conversation.
Yes. And I think this is true for the blind community, but sometimes people are so set in like, this is how you do it. And like everything else is wrong.
Mhm.
And I think that it's important to realize like it's not wrong. If
Mm.
this works for that individual, then you have to, accept it and move on. Like there's not just one thing that works for everybody.
Yes.
And I think that that's so important to remember when you're talking with people in the disability community.
Yes, I feel like that that has become that like that thing you just named has become more and more my answer. So like I do a lot of
Yes.
speaking and I'm asked questions a lot in audiences and stuff and more I'm like, but like I know you want like the 3-point list of
Yes.
exactly what to do and exactly what to say, but people are so different.
Yeah.
Like what this work a lot of times and there are best practices,
Oh,
right?
yes.
And we can talk about all of that.
Yes.
But also, this work is so much about just like being with humans
Mhm.
and knowing the people in your community and figuring out how to care for those people well.
Yes.
So much of it is like growing in our tolerance for getting it wrong and being able to listen well and adapt and change and imagine. And so
Mhm.
I don't know. I think sometimes people are like, but just tell me the three things. And
It's
I'm like,
not like
okay.
that. It's not like that.
Yeah, it is to me, over time, it has become so much more about, like, increasing our capacity to be humans with each other
Yes.
and learn
Yes.
from each other.
Yes. It's interesting that you talk about being more creative and open-minded and stuff like that. I think okay, a couple things because I'm going to forget. Okay, so I felt very similar to you when I started dealing with my vision impairment. So you were dealing with it when you were 6,
Mm,
which is horrible for a little kid to deal with a disability because of all the social experiences that you had to go through. When I was losing my vision at 17, I felt very similar. I was in
mm,
school and how do you tell people that you can't see their faces
mm.
when they don't even know about blindness, and I didn't know about it, so I
Yes.
didn't know how to explain it. And so I very much understand some of the difficulties that you went through and like sitting on the edge. I That's a
Mm,
good way to say it and I am going to start saying that now when I do presentations. But
mm.
so that's the one that I had and then oh no, I forgot it.
Can I respond to that for while
Yes,
you're thinking of
please.
it? Yeah.
Please.
Um, so it is interesting. The childhood thing is interesting,
Yeah.
like being so young.
Yeah.
So I got my first wheelchair when I was 6, but I actually started, like, not being able to walk when I was 3.
Oh, okay.
So even
Okay.
younger. And the thing that is interesting to me about being so young, and I have nothing to compare it to. This is my this is just my own experience. But is like not really having the language to articulate what
Yes.
you're feeling, or what having a framework for understanding what's happening.
Yes.
And so I think there's a lot that was happening inside my brain, trying to make sense of things, trying to um, survive,
Mhm.
um, and without ever being able to say, I'm lonely,
Yes.
or something like
Yes.
that. Or I am scared to get on the short bus because I don't know the kids on that bus.
Yes.
And I don't know all of these things that I think that's part of why it was so transformative in my late 20s to start having a lens and start reflecting on all the things that had happened, in part because when I was so young, none of the people around me um shared my experience, so there was no like mentorship
Yes.
or like people kind of guiding you through
Same.
the experience.
Yes.
So you're kind of on your own and you're trying to make sense of it and you're
Yep.
trying to survive, and there's so many things that I think our brains are just doing
Yes.
to do that work.
Yes.
That I don't it makes me want to like be around the young people.
I know. Same. Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remembered my other
Perfect.
point. Okay. So you were talking about being creative and open-minded and stuff. When I was dealing with my visual impairment in my master's program, I was still trying to figure out how to go about it. You tell all the professors and they don't believe you because you don't
Mm.
look blind. Okay, so I was very rigid in my thinking, like, I'm gonna go in, they're gonna have to provide this legally, and I'm gonna be successful. And that is not how the world works. And
Mm.
so for me, it really helped me to be more creative and think of different solutions for myself. And
Mm.
my family was a huge part of that. And so, like, just being able to get out of this rigid thought process and be more creative and allow yourself to be more creative. That right there has helped me in all of the jobs that I've had,
Mm.
every conversation that I've had with individuals who are dealing with any type of disability. And it's important because you can't be so rigid when you have a
Mm.
disability. And so I appreciate you saying that
Yeah.
earlier because it reminded me of.
Yeah. I it's interesting as we're talking about like part of what we've already talked about is how there's just like such a huge range of what disability can look like and
Mhm.
mean, and how it can show up. The expressions of disability are so sprawling.
Yes.
But like in my mind, if I'm gonna try to pick out like a thread that binds us, or like something that does feel like a way I could describe, I feel like this is this is true for all of us, is that when you are a mismatch for the built world in one way or another, when you are a mismatch for the world as it runs on default,
Mhm.
there is this scrappiness that tends to emerge in us where we figure out this a more imaginative route. Like we find another way to do it out
Mhm.
of sometimes. I mean, like I wish we weren't forced to do that, but
Yeah.
I think that is part of what happens. Um, is that sort of like scrappy roundabout,
Mhm.
find this workaround, imagine a different way,
Mhm.
which, as you're saying, it's been an asset in all the jobs that you've ever had. I mean, I think that is like one of the great treasures of the experience of disability. And I don't mean to like bright side it or like
Yeah.
have to spin a silver lining, but it's something that I value in myself,
Mhm.
and I value in the people in this community, that I admire and respect and enjoy, is that sort of however that emerges, that scrappiness.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I can feel complicated about having to have it at all, but also I really treasure it in us.
Yeah.
It feels like man, everything I want to say feels like like I'm finding the silver lining of something or trying to be like toxically positive, but
Yeah.
it's something that I treasure.
Yeah. No, I agree. Because when you talk to other people who have been through similar, you can tell that that person is scrappy and
Yeah.
outside thinking and able to be successful, whether they're dealing with something hard or something that might be easy for the rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
well, and I think it can be tiny things.
yes,
It
it really can.
yeah, it can be and I think a lot of times we don't even notice that we're doing it.
Yes.
We just do it. And I think that maybe part of that is recognizing. I was just messaging with a disabled friend, a writer of mine, who she's named this myth that she has in her head that like everybody else is working harder than her. I think in terms of like measuring ourselves against the productivity that other people have,
Okay.
to me, I'm like, also, I think we sometimes forget of the toll of the constant adaptations that we're doing every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it's useful to measure our productivity against anyone else.
Mm-mm.
And I think as disabled people, it is so easy to forget the toll that we're just paying every day.
Yes.
As we do that adapting, as we do that
100%.
that scrappy imaginative
Mm-hmm.
thinking. So
And now I'm more reflective of what I was dealing with and still am, to be honest. But I have the voice, the confidence,
mm,
and the terminology to speak more about it openly.
yes,
When I was dealing with it in school, I was a hot mess. Like, like
mm.
the crazy hair, like I did not care. I was like, well, I still don't. But
I love your hair.
thank you. But like, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't focused on any of that
Yeah.
because I was learning how to communicate and not like just openly yell at professors or students who just didn't understand it because I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And
That's the like basic survival. You
yes,
are just like in
I
survival.
was, and it was it was so tough, and I don't wish that for anyone.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like we've already talked, it really shaped who I am. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't be as confident sitting on this podcast had I not been through those trials.
It's like such a both and.
Yes. Yes. And it's not talked about enough, I think.
Mm.
And I think that when at the end of the day, I feel exhausted and just done and I don't
Yeah.
want to be social. And I have really great friends who are like, "Hey, we're having this party or we're going to go get some drinks. You coming, Haley?" And I'll be like, "Nope." And they'll be like, "Yes, you are." And I'll be like, "Okay." So, um it's just having good people in your circle to help you with that
Mhm.
too.
Yeah,
So,
and hopefully and like see the full picture
yes.
of what what your day was and what was asked of you
Yes.
and also what you need and what will be
Yes.
good for you and all of those pieces.
Yes, and knowing when to step in and help me, but not over help me.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Oh yes.
Because I still want to be independent, but at the end of the day, I am checked out. Like I am. It's there's nothing there.
Oh man, those are the best people. That's the safest, best is when you
It is.
have that ease and comfort with someone
It is, and I
who's
can be myself.
yeah.
Didn't mean
Yeah.
to interrupt
No,
you.
no. I don't think no.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting because you don't run into that a whole lot, but I feel like
Mm.
the world is becoming more accepting of individuals with disabilities. But we still have a long way to go.
It's another both and.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel yeah, especially like every time we round another like ADA anniversary or
Hmm.
whatever, I always just feel like, man, it is so hard to hold on to truly the battles that have been fought and won and the progress that we've made. And wow, how much farther we still have to go.
Yeah.
Like both of those things together
Yes.
are both really deeply true and both of them warrant our attention. It can be hard to hold on to both at the same time sometimes.
Hmm. And the ADA stuff, it just happened not long ago. 90,
Yes,
91? 90.
90.
90.
Yes, I was 4.
Yeah. I was gonna say, was that talked about growing up for you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. It's still
No.
not talked about a whole lot in
Yeah.
schools.
It's one of the things oh, right, exactly. It's one of the things that's really interesting to me, again, that I reflected on later is, like, I think the only I mean, so I was born in '86, became paralyzed in around '89. ADA passes in 1990, and
Mhm.
I've asked my parents, like, "Were you so like, what did you"
Yeah.
I think they barely clocked it. Like, it's
Yeah.
really interesting how, um in some ways, I think disability is an interesting identity in that many times, not always, not a rule, but often we're born into families that don't share that experience.
Yes.
And so we don't have the momentum of like generation
Yes.
and like the shared history and passing the legacy of the people that came before us,
Mhm.
passing that on. And so my parents didn't know, and they
Yeah.
didn't know to pay attention.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of an interesting hurdle in trying to gather people together around a movement or around a community or around a culture when a lot of times
You don't know.
yeah, we're just born into families that this is the first time they've ever thought that disability would be a part of their world in some way or another.
Yeah.
So
No, similar experience. We just didn't know where to go for resources. Like it's
yes.
not talked about enough. And I didn't find out until a couple of years, I want to say after. I was just thrown into this
Mhm.
situation. And, there were no role models.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the Kansas City area my whole life. I don't think I knew about the whole person until I was in my mid-20s.
I didn't realize about it until I started working here. So
Yeah, which is
so bizarre.
yes.
We should know.
Where are the like I don't know, like is it schools? Is it hospitals? Is it all the above? Like
All of the above.
where are the places where we can route people, like hand them the map or a map
All
or
of the above.
yeah.
And podcasts.
And podcasts.
Yes.
That's right.
But no, we were talking earlier, the amount of people who don't know about the blind resources in Missouri is astounding.
Mm,
And just getting doctors online, because if you struggle with your eyes and they're like, oh, you have a visual disability, like, where do you go? Like, you're going to
yeah.
ask your eye doctor. Sometimes they don't know. And I worked in that field for like 6.5 years. The amount of doctors who didn't know and we would go and do presentations to, it
Yeah.
was a lot. It was a lot. And it was hard to
Yeah.
realize.
It does seem like the medical space is an interesting part of this to me because it does seem like if there's one place that people with disabilities often find themselves, it is often in a medical space,
Yes.
right? That often is like the first place that we go or that we end up um, seeking out for one reason or another. However, if that is the main place through which you understand your disability, that is a really narrow way of understanding disability. And especially if they're not able to connect you to all of these other resources or communities or I don't know, even like book lists,
Yes.
like
Yes.
like good books to read. That was definitely the case for me that like I came to understand my own body as like a medical specimen that was broken and needed some medical intervention, and
Hmm.
that was the majority of the script that I had. So it's resources, but it's also like how are we coming to understand ourselves as people?
Yes, and that we're not broken, we just have to do things differently,
Yeah.
and that's okay. We can't all be firefighters.
We don't need that many firefighters, probably, I think.
Maybe, maybe not, I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah.
So, but no, I, remember you talking about that in your book, and I thought it was so interesting because I reflect about that kinda stuff, but you said it so well, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, that makes a lot of sense now." You know what I mean? And I
The
was like,
the
"Oh."
the families, like, growing up in families that don't, share our disabilities, yes,
Mhm,
and
and
so
that
you're
we're broken,
oh, yes,
but not broken.
yes, yeah. Yeah, that was definitely how I mean, and not by anyone that was never anyone's intention, like,
No.
we want this child to grow up and think she's broken, but when the only way that you hear your body described is through, like, doctors writing medical charts about, like, the precise curve of your spine and, like,
Yeah.
how much feeling you've lost in your legs, like, that's
Yeah.
kind of the story that you learn about yourself,
Mhm,
and that's, like, the only lens I had through which to understand my body, so
mhm. And now the rose-colored glasses have changed.
wait, what now?
And now the rose-colored
Oh,
glasses have changed.
like having a new lens?
Mhm.
Yeah. I think so, or, like yeah, part of it is a new lens, and then part of it is being empowered to tell your story for yourself,
Yeah.
and like having the power to decide for yourself what that means and what's important and how you want to tell it and what the arc of that story is.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many of us are uh, ever like taught how to do that
Yeah.
or empowered to do it.
Yes. And I think a lot of the acceptance of disability plays into that. Because I've met individuals, they will have their visual disability for 30 plus years,
Mhm.
but I can tell that they're still not accepting that this is the reality of the situation. But there are ways to go about doing daily living skills that
Mhm.
will be accessible. And so I don't always run into individuals who are willing to talk about their story or have the
Mm.
confidence or the terminology to
Mm.
talk about it. So it's interesting to see both sides of that.
Yeah. Yeah. In my experience, I think it's a really powerful tool to be able to that I think has a direct impact on like the choices that you make for your life and kind of the steps that you take or the routes that you take.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well, at least it was for me.
No, yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. So, since we paused there and I just had a brain meltdown in my own head,
Perfect.
is it okay if we go ahead and take a quick break and
I would,
maybe
yes, I would love to use the bathroom.
yes, yes, I will show
Yeah.
you where that is.
Okay.
So,
All right.
okay, thank you so much, everyone.
Cool.
We will be right back. Hi, everyone. My name is Haley Korf. I am the vision impaired host for the whole podcast. If you want to like and subscribe, that would be most helpful. We would love it. We just want to get our information out to the community so we can provide support to anyone who needs it. If you want to take a look at our calendar, we do have that on our website. That will show all the peer support groups that we offer. You are more than welcome to give us a call too. We would be more than happy to answer any questions, but it is all listed on the calendar. Take a look at it, enjoy our new website, and thank you so much for tuning in.